Hello everyone, Anita here and welcome to week 8 of the 52 weeks illustration challenge. And the theme of this week was horizon. And despite promising myself that I wouldn't do it and I would take it slow and easy, I actually painted this on A3 size. It took forever to finish. I painted it over 2 days, but to be completely honest, I did paint it really slowly. And this video is really sped up because I had over 6 hours of footage. And despite it being so fast, you can clearly see what I'm doing. So I was really taking it slow and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed painting this week. I did a lot of washes, I suppose. Not really. I would call it glazing. I put layers over layers over layers and over layers. It's completely crazy how many layers of watercolor I put into this painting. But in the end, I was really happy. So that's fine, right? So the first layer here I'm doing is wet on wet, and I'm just trying to kind of block the first colors, just kind of like see if it works out, because I had this image in my head of everything being very colorful and shiny, and definitely not these colors. And then I dried it completely with my heat gun and just put another layer of watercolor. I was basically building up the intensity. Is that a word? Intensity of the watercolor. Because I wasn't exactly sure how far I wanted to go with it. I did end up going pretty far with how dark the paint actually turned out. It was really dark. But I actually learned a lot about the control over paint in this painting. I sometimes struggle with it. It's just, it happens. But it really helped. Painting this really helped me kind of remember that I had skills. Sometimes you know how it is when you start a painting and you're like, how do you do it again? I knew that yesterday and I don't know anymore. It's the same thing with taking photos, because recently I've been struggling with actually taking photos of my paintings, and I didn't have that problem before. It's just something that happened all of a sudden. I was like, how do you do it again? It's crazy. So yeah, there's absolutely nothing out of ordinary happening. I'm just really trying to build up the color, but I really wanted it to be. It's a bit different from what I usually do, because usually I work in very flat, even washes, and as you can see here, everything is blended. Everything blends into white. So because I don't do it normally, it was a little bit of a struggle to have the paint act the way I wanted it to, because the idea behind this painting is that there is something behind the horizon, and so if you reach the horizon, you have basically the end of the world. And so I wanted to have this ocean, almost a bowl, where the whale ship is floating. And then where the fishies are and the flying fish, that's the outside of the horizon. And I wanted this ocean to be really almost like a gem, almost like if it was, transparent, very shiny. And to have this, the shine show, it really had to be dark. But I don't often... well, lately maybe more. I've noticed I've been using a lot of bolder colors lately. But since, lighter colors are safer, I use them more often, I suppose. So working with darker colors is, just a little bit more difficult. And so I'm very careful with how I put them in. And so I'm just adding different glazes of different colors. This pink on the side, it was not exactly the pink I wanted to be. I wasn't exactly sure if I wanted it to be a peachy pink, orangish pink, and so I just kept adding layers of magenta over the actual orange, just to kind of tone it down, make it a little bit more kind of violet pink. Because it seemed to me like it was too orangey. There was no transition color between the blue and the yellow reds. I needed a transition, like this violet purplish color, so that's magenta. And also magenta was pretty much the base for every single other color I ever made, so even the blue has it. It kind of tones down the blue. As you know, I've been still searching for the perfect blue, and this one comes pretty close. It's actually a mix of two different colors, and that's been actually suggested in the comments, and for the love of me, I don't remember who suggested now, but thank you so much if you're listening. It was a great idea, and it was just to add this more of a pinkish violet, you know, just magenta to a blue. And I've done it. I did some testing, and I managed to mix a blue that I was really happy with, that didn't have the granulated texture of ultramarine. And that made me extremely happy. And also because I can mix it in different proportions, I really like that I can kind of decide whether I want the blue to be a little bit more violet-ish or a bit more, like warmer blue, if that makes sense. So here I'm kind of building up the underlayers of the fish. When I first drew in the fish, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with them. I'm not very high on the reverse color blocking thing. I don't even remember how it's called. When you basically put in darker shapes underneath, I don't remember how it's called. Forgive me, please. Totally pro right now. Let's call it a brain freeze. But basically, I wanted to have different colored and different shapes of fish under the lightest ones, which are the ones that are drawn in. And so I wasn't sure at this point if I wanted to do it. And I've been trying to make the whole area a bit darker. So as you can see, I'm putting a layer of this pinkish color, pinkish red, on the whole area, because I wasn't sure if I really wanted to have a different fish underneath the ones that are already on the paper. But in the end, I end up putting in the fish anyway, because I don't know, I've been really, this painting was just, it was going on really slow, but it was in a way very relaxing. I haven't had a painting like this for a very long time, where I was just painting without worrying about that I needed more time and I had to hurry and that it was 5 a.m. I should probably go to sleep. It was really a good experience, despite this being an extremely big painting. And I know I've said it before, but I'm really going to try not to do these for the challenge, because it's really time consuming and it's totally not worth it. And seems to me that my camera is not working very well if it's too far away from the painting surface, so it's really hard to record as well. It's definitely much easier to record a smaller one. And so I'm adding, another layer. I wanted the bowl, let's call it, the ocean bowl. I wanted it to stand out really harshly. I wanted this white edge to be really visible. And so I actually decided to use a color straight from the pan, just for the most intensity. But then I figured that the middle of the bowl should also be the same color. And so I'm kind of matching the intensity of color from one area to the other. I don't do that usually, but in this case it kind of made more sense to me. I could see much easier what still needed to be done. It was a bit tiring at some points, because I felt that I had to do it. Once I actually committed to the more vibrant, darker color, I had to do it in the other areas as well, because there was no other choice. Otherwise it would look too bland and incomplete. and I didn't like that. And here, when I started working on this edge of the side of the bowl, and I finally started to take some shape, and I really started to like it. And I'm I'm struggling with having flat washes that are nicely, blending into white. It's not how watercolor is supposed to work, and it's really hard for me to actually work on the angle and make a nice flat wash, especially with blue. Even though this blue is really nice, I'm not complaining at all. It's a perfect blue for blending. Kind of refining the edge. And then doing the same under the whale, but trying to leave that edge lighter so that there is a clear distinction between the upper part of the bowl and then the side. And then I start darkening the yellow. This part was really a bit tricky for me because yellow is light color itself. And I didn't want to change it into orange. I wanted it to be bright yellow, and I didn't want it to mix with any other color. That's another part of why I wanted to be why I was so extremely careful while doing these washes, because I really wanted these colors to be separate. I wanted them, of course, to blend nicely into each other, but I wanted the colors themselves to be separate, especially yellow, which is such an easy color to lose in a painting. And that's why whenever I started one wash, I would just finish that one color most of the time and just dry it and then work on another wash. And I'm adding a little bit of purple over here because I figured that going from that pinkish red wasn't enough, and I'm just adding a little bit more color to this sky, yet again to just try and darken it so that it matches with the other portions of the painting. And I was struggling here. In the end, I actually came in with a wider brush because this is supposed to be the sky, which the universe that's behind is surrounding the world, of course, the cosmos, and it just looked I wanted it to be very flat, and so I really like painting with a small brush, but in this case it was just the area was too big, and I just came back. I didn't record it, but I came back with a bigger brush and just made it clear even. And here I'm actually drawing in the fish. I drew them with the blue pencil first and then filled them in with a darker color. And I worked just a few at a time. Once again, I wasn't exactly sure where I was going with it. I didn't want to overdo it. I didn't want to commit to anything bigger. I just kind of went with what felt good at that time. So I would paint in one fish or two fishies and then paint them in and then kind of see if some other area needed a fish. I also changed colors because I wanted to reinforce that gradient. So I didn't want all the fish to be red. So I changed also to yellow and some orange, and it's all pretty much the same. So for the sake of this video being completely boring, I cut those parts out. But it's just exactly what I'm doing right here. So just drawing in little fishies and then painting. And as you can see, there is a little bit of depth because of that. They create some kind of shadow underneath. And the reason why I wasn't sure if I wanted this effect, if I wanted to make darker fish, was because... But maybe I will talk about it in a second, because there was something special I wanted to do about the fish. So here I'm actually drawing a little bit of more purplish fish because to kind of go into that blue, to connect the red with the blue. Oh, I'm actually showing you how I painted all the fishies. That's interesting. I thought I actually cut that out. But that's good. That's actually, it shows really nicely how I tried to kind of like really reinforce that gradation of color. And that was really important to me. It did not came out exactly like I wanted, because at some points I just kind of went away from the color scheme I was planning to do. This painting, I wanted bright colors, but I wanted more of a teal sea. And I don't know if you noticed, you probably didn't notice, but there is actually another color in that palette that I've prepared beforehand, and I've never used it even once. And the reason for that is that when I decided to have a nice teal sea, I wanted that sea to be very nice, a bright teal, and the color I wanted would require me to use gouache in it to make it brighter, but I didn't want that. And this is exactly the same technique where I'm using gouache with color to fill in the fish on top, because I wanted them to actually have this opal quality, like the stone. When the fish were supposed to kind of shimmer and reflect the colors around them, and I wanted them to also be a little bit transparent, and I really wanted the effect of a white film. That's why I mixed white gouache with water. I diluted it quite a bit, and I covered every single the top layer of fish with that mix. And I had 3 colors prepared. I had white, and then a mixture of white and that same blue I used for the sea, and another one with white and the same red I used for the fish. So there was just like this very baby pink and baby blue, and they're really pretty colors. And because I used the same colors as the painting, even though they were much lighter, they still kind of remained in the same tonation. Is that even a word? I'm using Polish words in English. That's crazy. They had the same shade, I suppose. And the most important feature was that white film that gouache is creating, because gouache is of course naturally opaque paint, but when you dilute it with a lot of water, it loses that opacity, and it becomes very like milky. And I really liked that effect. I thought that it really made the fish look like they were made out of like this translucent milky stone. Of course they're not made of stone, but And actually, even though I really liked the whale, this part was the most boring of all of them. I much more enjoyed painting the fish and the background rather than the actual characters. The characters are the whale itself. I actually spent more time painting than the characters, because the characters are completely mishandled. I just slapped some random colors there. I didn't think about them at all, and I feel bad about it. But to my defense, it was really late already. It was 4 a.m. when I finished painting this piece, and I had 2 nights when I painted till very late, and so I was really tired. And that's another reason why I don't want to make such big paintings for the challenge, because the quality suffers. I should have paid more attention to the character, I think, in the end. And it suffered because I was tired and I didn't have time anymore. So I think it's a bit of a shame. It came out really nice in the end, but I felt like I didn't do everything I could have, and that makes me sad. So I'm just adding different colors, and I wasn't really thinking about what I was doing at all. I just I had this little palette with colors, and I was just mixing it with the colors from the background, different shades of the colors from the background, and just filling in the areas. Initially, those orbs that are in the little ship, they are supposed to be the same balls that are turning into the fish. and then they're transforming into stars. It's kind of like a little story. And they're supposed to be very shiny, and they were supposed to be floating in the ocean as well. But because I was so tired, it completely, I lost that idea. Like, I wasn't thinking about it at all. So that's another thing that's a big shame. And also, my white gel pen was almost completely empty, and that scared me. It was the whole process when I was filling in white areas at the end. I was just, oh my god, please, just a little bit more, just please, a little bit more. It was so scary because I have only my gouache, and the gouache I have now, I don't think that's the case if it's old or not, but it's not as white as it used to be. I don't mix it with other colors, it's still in its jar. It looks to me like it's dirty when it dries, and that bothers me a lot, and so I will be buying new gouache soon. But until then, I had just this white gel pen, so when I've noticed that it was almost empty, I was really panicking because I didn't have any other option. And so I'm adding just little details with the white gouache, and then kind of with the white gel pen as well, and with colored pencils. I didn't really feel like playing with the shading on such a small picture anymore, and that's why I usually, the colored pencils are like the lazy choice for me if I don't feel like playing, like doing it with watercolor, because doing it with watercolor requires more work than pencil, and in some cases like this one here, I just don't feel like doing it with watercolor. So now I'm adding a soft pastel, my favorite part, and I already decided beforehand that I would do it especially in the sky area because it was annoying me to the ends of earth, literally. It was really annoying, so I decided beforehand that I would just do it with the soft pastel. It's easier, it's faster, and it's really pleasurable at the end when I can just rub it all around the paper, and it looks so nice. And then I'm adding a little bit of black over the blue just to kind of darken it. I don't really have a dark color in my soft pastels. And I don't really like mixing them. It's just too much work. It's totally doable. You can mix soft pastels, but it's just too much work. So yeah. At the end, I'm adding the little white details, and I'm really struggling with it, just like I said, because my gel pen was almost empty, and I really had to draw slowly and very gently so that the ink would actually flow. And I had to go back a lot on over the areas that I've already done, just because the paint didn't want to flow. But this painting was so white detail heavy that I just didn't have any other choice, and so I did it. So luckily it didn't die on me. That's a good thing. And that's it for today, guys. If you want to see this painting in its full glory, please go to my Facebook page or the 52 Weeks Challenge illustration page, group page. And thank you very much for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed it. And yeah, I will see you next time. Bye!